Good afternoon. Hey, it's Rick here. I just wanted to do a little demo. I have been in the process of making dinner plates for gifts to go out this Christmas. And I just wanted to take a quick moment and do my first ever demo and hope that maybe it helps the rest of you as you learn to throw plates yourself. I am using a plaster bat that I created off of a YouTube tutorial that I found a while ago. And I find that using plaster bats, although they do run the risk of contamination of the clay if you're not really careful, they actually offer a really great surface to throw plates from because the plaster naturally absorbs the water from the bottom of the plate, allowing the plate itself to come free of the bat without having to undercut it with a wire. The advantage of that is, of course, you're not getting any kind of lumping and you don't have to try to recut it later on after it adheres again. So I'm using a plaster bat. It's a 12-inch wide plaster bat. All my plates are 12-inch wide. I'm going to be using this rolling pin, which is just standard flat long rolling pin. And I'm going to start off by centering it, and then I'll kind of adjust my approach as I go along just to show you a few tips I found. So here we go. First thing I want to do a little wedging on the wheel. That way I make sure that my clay is thoroughly mixed again. There were some harder spots in the reclaim. So what this does is kind of spread those out a little bit across the clay body. If you find that you get a little bit of wobble on the side of your clay, it's most likely because your pressure hand is getting friction on the dry bat, and that causes your hand to do this, which is going to throw the actual clay body off of round. So good deal of water on the bat. Clean up my bat surface a little bit. One more just to get it spinning nice and balanced. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my rolling pin and with a good deal of lubricant water on it, I'm going to slowly depress down. And I'm going to stop for a second because you can see it's forming a ridge where the clay is kind of getting, pushed back. I don't want that to be a problem because as the plate flattens, that rim will actually kind of roll over, and when you get to the outside of the bat, it'll create an uneven surface under the bottom of it so that when you actually go to bring the rim up, it causes an undulation and thin spots. So again, I'm going to go ahead and water this down a little bit. Start off by making sure it's good and centered. Clean off any excess clay that might have adhered to the last press. Pressing down equally. Go back and push that rim back down a little bit, or that rolled edge down a little bit. And go ahead and do it a third time. Now I've almost got to the outside edge of my plate. Go ahead and just kind of even that edge up again so it's still centered. Make sure I get all of the clay that might have adhered to the surface of the rolling pin off of it, because it will create a stick point. Lubricate again. Press down. Now I've almost got it to the outside edge, and you can see underneath that it's kind of standing up. So what I'm going to do is go back and sort that out just a hair. Push it down a little bit. That way I don't have those thin spots in it. And then one last push. And now we've got pretty much a workable plate to start with. Now very carefully I'm going to slow my wheel down just a hair. And I'm going to take my wire tool, and using a little slower wheel speed, I'm going to back cut this edge so that it is even with the bat, as you can see. And now a lot of people don't do this, and I'm found that it's easier to do it this way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to preform the upper edge of the plate's rim using a chamois. That way I don't have to mess with it when I go back after lifting it to try to thin it out. Now I'm going to take a very wet tool, this tool, and I'm going to go find the edge of the plate. One thing about doing it with this tool is if it's not lubricated well enough, you're going to find that the clay kind of binds against it. There we go. Now I've got a usable plate form. I really don't have to do too much after this other than just kind of clean up the rim. So I'm going to do that with a chamois again. As you can see now, I've got a little bit of stiction, I guess, stuck clay that didn't quite get smoothed out because I was using a dry tool. A little bit of trimming probably with this tool now because I do have some undulations in the clay, and I've smoothed all that out. Go ahead and clean that off underneath there. And basically that's the form of the plate, and any marks or anything like that that are in the clay surface on the bottom when I remove it from the bat, I will clean up with the trimming tool. And last but not least, I'm going to take my sponge and I'm going to kind of clean up the surface of the plate, get any excess slip or marks out of it that I can. And as you can see, there is the formed plate. Now I'm just going to go ahead and very lightly take my sponge in a slow wheel speed, and I'm going to go ahead and just start in the center, and I'm going to press down lightly with my sponge, and I'm going to pull out and create a nice spiral. And then I'll take my sponge and just lightly wipe off the slip that I created. And there you go. Voila. One plate thoroughly thrown, and it will come off the bat easily. And it's the correct dimensions for the rest of the plates, so they should all stack fairly evenly across the range of plates that I've thrown. To give you an example, these are a couple that I threw earlier today They're almost identical. These are a few I threw a few days ago that weren't quite to my satisfaction. And these are yet still more that I made even 5 days ago that are now almost fully bone dry. And you can see they stack pretty well and they're all pretty much the same diameter. But anyway, I hope that helps you. Enjoy.